Welcome back, everyone. Next up, we have Bioxytran and here on the OTCQB, the ticker symbol BIXT. The company is a clinical stage biotech with 2 revolutionary platform technologies. Plus, they just received a U.S. IND that allows them to dose patients in the United States under the supervision of the FDA. They also have an oral glycovirology drug that recently completed clinical trials and achieved 100% viral reduction in 7 days, a feat only accomplished by one other drug in the past decade. Their drug is a galectin inhibitor that neutralizes the COVID-19 virus and prevents it from entering cells. They also have another platform drug being developed to treat strokes. Due to the molecule's small size, it has the ability to carry oxygen into areas of poor circulation. I'm happy to bring Mike Sheikh back on, Executive Vice President of Business Development. Nice to see you again, Mike.
Anna, same. It's good to be here.
All right. Well, congratulations on all these updates. We look forward to hearing your presentation.
All right. Well, thank you. So I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today. You'll see here, we're going to talk about partnering with small pharma, the path to non-dilutive financing. My name is Mike Sheikh. I'm the Chief Communication Officer of Bioxytran, and I'm going to kind of take you through, I'm going to basically put on my research analyst hat and kind of show investors the real value of what we're about to do, what the mission we're about to embark on. Now, here's our forward-looking statements. So you can go ahead and read that. But I want to take this opportunity to ask the investors a question. In the last century, so basically in the 20th century, what was the most impactful drug for mankind? So again, the most impactful drug for mankind last century. Now, that's kind of an airball of a question to start off with, but now I'm gonna leave you with one little hint. The wonder drug for the 19th century or the 1800s was none other than aspirin, Bayer. So what followed aspirin as the new wonder drug? And then perhaps we're going to talk about maybe the wonder drug of the 21st century. So anyhow, that's my little teaser. Stay tuned. So who are we? What's our vision? Really simple. We want to get rid of viruses. That's really our mission statement. Become a global leader in novel antiviral drug development. We want to get rid of viruses. So how the heck are we going to do that? And that takes me to my next slide. In biotech, all biotech, there's a target. Our target happens to be galectin-3. This target has been widely, extensively studied like none other. And this peer-reviewed journal article, One Molecule in Alphabet Diseases A to Z, is a compilation of probably around basically 4,000 journal articles. Look, for every letter of the alphabet, there's multiple disease indications that are tied to the galectin-3. So you think maybe we should develop a drug to target these things. Now, I'm not going to get into the science very deep at all on this presentation. We're really going to talk about partnering. And the reason is, you'll see later, and I'm going to emphasize this fact, we have 2 clinical trials with 100% responders rate. That's not rare. That's basically 2 in 10,000 clinical trials over the past decade. So it's beyond rare. We're in the 99.99 percentile of efficacy, or drugs that get efficacy. So that's why you should pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. So there's no effective treatment for viruses right now. And how do we know that? For years, what happens when you go to the doctor's office, they say, oh, I think that's a virus. Do they give you anything? No, they just send you home. Because there really weren't any effective antivirals. So what we're doing is something about it. Look at these statistics: 103 million in COVID, 26 million influenza, shingles, respiratory syncytial virus, viral conjunctivitis, long COVID. Those numbers are in the millions. So there's many, many people that need something, and there's nothing out there. And the vaccines, you'll see my little note there, they're unable to keep up with the pace of mutations with coronavirus. They're not really good solutions. So what are we going to do about it? We're going to come up with a broad spectrum antiviral. We think we might actually have that. Take a look there at this little graphic. The research has been done for us. What that graphic is, those are all the different types of viruses and the families of viruses. And what you'll see there is the galectins, our target. They're upregulated, downregulated. There's different types of galectins. So what we're hoping to do is build a drug to a specific galectin signature to treat the entire disease. That's what our goal is. And we think we've done that with our current molecule. Now, who's the brains behind this? In biotech, one of the most important things is looking at management. Do you have competent management? And in this case, our CEO, David Platt, he's 40 years in the business. Look at right underneath this picture. He wrote 2 books, basically wrote the book on how to make carbohydrates. You'll see over on the right, there's 4,000 plus journal articles. On top, you'll see the first article in the field of research was back in 1993. And he actually coined the name galectin. So you think what he has to say is important? Sure it is. Now, I want to take this opportunity to talk about the magnitude of what we have here. Just a couple days ago, the Nobel Prize in Medicine came out, and this Nobel Prize was for the discovery of the mRNA vaccines, or basically what underpinned their ability to, turn people into bioreactors to basically make the vaccine very efficiently, very quickly, and arguably safely. Depends on what political side you fall on. So we're not going to get into that. But their achievement basically saved millions of lives. That's the bottom line of their discovery, and that's big. But now let me put that all into perspective. They're talking about saving millions of lives. Our technology is talking about ending pandemics, stopping them out before they even get started. So again, I want to explain, you need to pay attention to what we're talking about. So why am I focused on the partnering with small pharma? Because this is an incredible strategy to create shareholder value. What we're looking to do there is create the win-win with another biotech company that basically needs what we have, which is a promising asset. Now, how are we going to do this? Or why are we going to do this? Why are we so motivated to do this? Number one, heavy insider ownership and alignment with shareholders. As an insider, I don't make any money on this deal unless I get this stock price up. So your interests and my interests are both aligned, unless you're short, of course, right? So what we don't want to do is the second point is we don't want to do equity offerings at these depressed levels, or we want to do as little as humanly possible to get to that next level where the switch flips on and investors realize, oh my gosh, look at what this company has. This could be big pharma sitting in little pharma's clothing. And let me explain, we've been very cost efficient, which means that a small investment is all that's needed to get us to a pivotal trial of our lead candidate, Prolectin-M. So that's why we're going through this. Now, are these ideal conditions for small pharma deal making? I say yes. And if some investors out there are looking at, Mike, what are you talking about? The biotech market is in free fall. Yeah, it kind of has been. And it's down a lot, definitely off its top. and how are we going to do this? We're going to do this with what you'll see on the left is licensing partnership, partnering, or some sort of divestiture of one of our product lines. So those are that's the framework that we want to do a deal with. But now let's talk about the conditions a little bit more. You'll see there's a little graph there. What is that of? That's of the IPOs that were done. So what happens is you'll see in the center in 2021, a bunch of IPOs were done, and then it just kind of fell off the cliff. There's only been 9 so far this year, 9 biotech IPOs this year. That means one thing. There's not money for new biotech. New money is not happening in biotech. If biotech is going to get funded, the only way it's going to get funded is through deal making. And that's what we're seeing. So now what makes us the sweet spot is the number one thing, and Anna brought this up right in the beginning, we have a US FDA IND. Now, that's critical to do deals because you got all these pharmas in the United States within the FDA system, and they want to do a deal, or they're looking to do a deal where the FDA oversees the clinical trials. Now, there's over 150 small pharmas out there that I've researched and found out that are trading at a discount to cash. And the common theme that we're seeing is that these biotechs, their investors are beating them up. They want, you need to do progress. And some of them fail to meet their endpoints, which is why they're down there. Others just weren't creative enough to excite their investors with what they're doing. And some we saw are actually being dissolved. So you have these NASDAQ shells that are just going poof. So now, let me tell you what my pitch is going to be to these guys. So how am I going to get their attention? Now, remember in the beginning, what we talked about what was the wonder drug of the last century? Well, you'll see there, it was penicillin. Penicillin. See, what happened in the last century is in the last century, mortality was driven by all these bacterial infections. And there's a chart there on the right, US mortality. You see it was going down, 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 but then it had another push down once we found out about penicillin. And I want you to think about the impact it's had on mankind. And if anyone's had an elective surgery, I want you to think about that. Are any of these surgeries happening without having antibiotics? No. And think about all the good and the antibiotics do for us. Whether it's as simple as the pimples on the face. Think about the massive impact it's had on mankind. Just because of that one drug and the one antibiotic and that one discovery. So now what's plaguing us in the 21st century? Look, we have HIV, we got Ebola, we got COVID-19, the largest, massive pandemic, RSV and influenza. We saw the triple-demic last year. So that's great. So my pitch is simple. Look, I got something that's arguably bigger than penicillin. Are you interested in hearing what I have to say? I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm sure it's going to give it a try. And then the second point is, look, I have rare efficacy. We had 100% responders rate in our clinical trial. This has only happened twice in the past decade. Twice. The first time was with Gilead Sciences back in 2013 with Harvoni. So here we are with arguably no one has better clinical data than us. They might have equal if they had 100%, but no one has better. So you can't say that your drug is better than mine. Odds are mine is better than yours. So let's get over that. Let's get over the fact that it's peer reviewed, and let's just talk about making a deal. So it really helps me get focused on getting into the deal aspects instead of worrying about all the science, which is why I'm not focused on science. So here's the pitch. Look, we're bigger than penicillin. We have the science is sound, over 100% responders rate. or I'm sorry, 100% response rate in 2 peer-reviewed clinical trials. We're phase 3 ready. We don't have toxicity signals. We are going after the largest unmet medical need in the world, that is early stage, standard risk patients who get COVID. Just anyone who gets COVID, that's our target market. Small pharmas, they're pretty much have shareholders that are upset, and the shareholders are upset that they are not able to unlock greater value, especially the ones that are trading at a discount to cash, the ones I'm trying to get to. And we have a simple proposition. Look, you have the money, we have the pipeline. You pay for it, and then let's flip it to big pharma for billions. It's really a simple pitch. And oh, by the way, after this, there's probably a whole bunch of other indications that we could do. Isn't that exciting? So now I'm going to take the rest of my time here going through my list. And the whole purpose of me going through this list and showing you some prospects is so you understand what our methodology is. Because at the end of this, I want you to understand what your risk is. Your risk is that out of this list of 150, I don't find someone. We don't find someone to do a deal with. That's your risk. Because if we do find someone to do a deal with, what is stopping the stock from going higher? There's if we find a non-dilutive form of financing to get to our endpoint. So with that, what I did was I have this huge list. I had to break this down into some bite-sized chunks. So let's start with some of the biotechs with the largest cash hoard. So again, we're talking about small pharma. And then what you'll see is the list is on the right. It goes the ticker symbol, the market cap, and then the actual cash value and discount. So let's talk about AVIR. So it's the third one down on the list. And as you can see there, it's 250 market cap. It's 608 million in cash. What happened there? Well, they tried a drug. They went to phase 2. They failed. So now what they're doing is they're tweaking it to go after a larger patient population. It's going to cost probably hundreds of millions of dollars. They have hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're going after the hospitalized market. So what's my pitch to Atia Pharmaceuticals? My pitch is pretty much, look, do you know we exist? Do you realize if we get a couple $1 million and we get this drug approved, what's the need for your drug? Wouldn't you like to have an insurance policy on us getting money? Well, let's do a deal. I mean, it could be an argument as simple as that. The next one on the list is Vanda Pharmaceuticals. All right. Now Vanda, they have 248 million market cap and almost 489 million in cash. Again, I'm just reading the chart. They're into COVID-19, atopic dermatitis. They also have a schizophrenia drug. Now they have revenues. I don't know if they're going to be interested, but look, you have revenues, so you have the ability to take a chance of spending a small amount of money and doing a JV with us. This is how we need to. I lost my feed for a second here. Stand by. This is how we need to approach these guys. The next one is Invivyd, IVVD. COVID-19, they're going after antibodies, and what they're trying to do is all these mutations have created all this viral escape. So they're trying to create these longer-lasting antibodies that aren't prone to all these variants. Well, maybe I go in there and tell them, I appreciate what you're doing, but what's happened is let's look at Invivyd. And they have 186 million market cap, and they got $298 million cash in the bank. So perhaps some of these investors are a little fatigued, saying, because they're not even giving them the cash value. They're saying, well, they're basically betting, we're not sure your technology is going to work. We're not sure this is a great idea. So maybe I could come in there, show them what they're doing, and say, maybe we have a better mousetrap. Maybe you should look at us. Because if we are successful and we do raise the money, then what does that mean to your hundreds of millions of dollars that you're going to spend creating monoclonal antibodies, because they're not cheap? The next one is Graphite Bio, GRPH. They're looking for strategic options. You see in my notes there? They're actively looking for strategic options, and they're going after sickle cell. What does sickle cell have to do with COVID? We have another drug candidate or another platform technology that I didn't even tell you about. It's an oxygenation drug. So I approached them on that. So I put this in there just to basically tell you, to show you, the investors, that there isn't any biotech on this list I can't spin into working with us, because we have something, whether it's that indication or in one platform or the other. We have two platform technologies. It's that big, guys. The next one, Kezar Life Sciences. Lupus, if you look at lupus and galectin-3, you're going to see a correlation. I can make a case there. So I can argue with them on the science. The next one is XBIT, X Biotech. If we go down there and we go down there, they're into stroke. So we have our BXT25 molecule is designed for stroke. I'm definitely interested in doing a collaboration there. And maybe this is a combination therapy, I don't know. And then this one's an anomaly, Pardes. COVID-19. I don't know if you guys know about Pardes Bioscience, but they were going after mild to moderate COVID-19. And they basically stuck a stake in the ground and says, you know what, we're going to solve this problem. And guess what happened? Phase 2 came around and they failed to meet their endpoints. So how much cash do they have? Yes, that's no misprint, $197 million in cash. And they're going after the same exact indication that we're going after. Now, maybe they want to, turn in the towel, throw in the towel and stop. I don't know. But I'm just saying it's worth pursuing companies like this. And then finally on largest cash hoards is Inovio. They're going after COVID, Ebola, and Zika. I use this one. They have a breakthrough therapy, so they're probably not going to want to do something with us because they're probably feeling comfortable in that. But the market cap is 300. I'm sorry, what is it? It's 104 million and 105 million. Or I'm sorry, 195 million in cash. So the market's kind of saying, well, we're not sure you really have anything when they trade at discounts like that. So I think we can go to them and say, look, why don't you spend a little bit of money and let's do a joint venture on Ebola and HIV and Zika virus. We have reason to believe that, through the science, that there's a possibility that we can make a galectin antagonist that targets those different disease indications. All right, so now I'm going to move on to my next slide. I'm burning some time here. I was going a little bit slower than I wanted to, so I'm going to speed up a little bit. This next one is Q Health. You can kind of see there. Q Health, they have, these are companies looking for strategic options. They basically have openly stated in the press, they're looking. So, I'm just going to go through just a couple of these in the interest of time and highlight a couple so you get the idea. But these guys at Q Health, they make these portable readers testing. Well, no one's testing anymore. And what happens if we achieve our goal of a triple-demic type drug that goes after RSV, influenza, and COVID-19? And by the way, we have in vitro tests on that. So that is something that's in the game plan if we have the money. So we would go to them and say, well, geez, if our drug makes it to market, why do we need to test anymore? If you have an upper respiratory tract infection, here, take this drug, go home, get better. And, that's kind of how it's going to work. Testing is ancient now. So, what's the point? So why not reinvent yourself by doing a JV with us. You know, your shareholders are going to be excited about that. And then we could just go for FIXX, Cowen's looking for options, Avro Bio, they have a preclinical pipeline, and you'll see that they got 125 million in cash, and their market cap is 70 million. So perhaps, it'd be nicer to go a little bit later stage, because everyone likes to invest in later stage. The later the stage, the more value you have as a biotech. And what are we? We're late stage. We're phase 3 asset. But anyhow, you could just take a look at that. Vascular biogenetics. You'll see merger with Noble Labs, and Vivid, in vivo therapeutics. That's the NVIV. They have a spinal cord thing. They didn't meet their endpoint. And then FRTX, which is Fresh Tracks Therapeutics. They're going through liquidation and dissolution. So now we're going to go look at companies that are closely aligned with Bioxytran. So we'll take a look at some of these. Spend a little bit of time, and then we got to wrap up. Sun Farm Bio, COVID-19. They're targeting the PL Pro. Maybe what we do is we show them what we're targeting, and say we think we have a better mousetrap. Do you want to pay attention? How about Galecto? They've done COVID-19 and idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Surprise, we're doing the same thing. They're involved in galectin science. Tonics, they're going after long COVID and ME/CFS. Maybe what we do, we're going after long COVID too. So maybe we approach them and say, look, you're going after one facet of what causes long COVID. We're going after what we think in theory is around 4 facets. Maybe you should pay attention to us. How about Sologenics? That's SNGS. They're going after Ebola and MARSVR. They're creating vaccines. Look, you're creating vaccines. We have a therapeutic. We think therapeutics, might be something that you want to look at for these. Hedge your bet. Athlon, they're using carbohydrates to filter out the virus. Well, guess what we're doing? We're basically getting carbohydrates into your system to bind up the virus. So we obviously believe their technology works. And then Achilles, they're going after non-small cell lung cancer, the ACHL, and they're using T cells to fight cancer. There's a real strong case for galectin-3 in cancer. And I'm running out on time here, so I didn't mean to switch that, but let me go back one slide. Co-Crystal is another one. They're going after the 3CL Pro mechanism. Again, we show them what we have. Maybe you want to look at that. And then Co-Diagnostic. Now, this one's an anomaly. Co-Diagnostics has almost 70 million cash, 33 million market cap. They're a testing company. Similar market caps, and they're doing PCR tests. I mean, they got to reinvent themselves. Shareholders are not going to be happy. And then finally, there's big pharma licensing targets. So the ultimate goal is to get our registrational trial done. And then what we do is we sell to one of these guys. That is our game plan. So what I hope I did by taking you through this process was showing you we're very serious as a company doing a deal. Do we have the capability to do a deal? Yes, we do. So what I want all the investors to realize is that if you don't see the value and are worried about us doing dilution and worried about that next fundraising event, you're not seeing the big picture. You have to see the big picture, and the big picture is what the risk is. And the risk goes both ways, up and down. So your risk is that I connect with one of these 150 people and it goes parabolic. That's your risk. And I hope that I demonstrated that to you. Because if I get I'm sorry, I shouldn't use the word I. When our team gets this done, we got a great team. When our team gets this done, this stock has a chance to go parabolic. and well over, I mean, I'm just going to throw something out there because you need to hear this. I really don't want it. I really don't want to do any deals down here, but I'm forced my hand if retail doesn't back me up and see the potential in this. All right. So with that, I think.
Hi, Mike.
Yeah, that's the end of my presentation. Oh, here's my final thing, Anna. Just give me. So
Sure.
Here's my investment summary. We have an experienced management team. We're cost efficient. We've done massive things with no budget. We've de-risked the science. Again, 100% responders rate. We're at this value inflection point. We got an IND, folks. A U.S. IND is typically worth a couple $100 million. We're trading at 20 million. Wake up. We have institutional investors, loyal shareholder base, and we have massive licensing potential. That's my pitch.
Great job. Again, always fascinating listening to all the work that you're doing. Thank you again for joining us. We do have lots of questions for you as always, but we'll send them to you so you can answer on your own.
Thank you.
All right. Everyone stay with us. We'll be right back.